don't judge, or don't judge me. What does that mean when people say that to us, especially in the face of a biblical truth or an admonition, which means to shape the world with warning, shape the will with the soul with warning? Hello, this is Mark White, Executive Director from Walkworthy Ministries, with another episode of Giving an Account, Defending the Faith with Gentleness and Reverence. 1 Peter 3:15. Don't judge. Oh my goodness. If I had $1 for every time I heard that or used against me in all of our apologetic work over the last close to 40 years, I could probably buy a desert island for cash. In any event, that is a sign of a defenseless scenario. Now, the Bible does say, do not judge your brother. But the first thing I say to people, and we'll come back to that, is when they say do not judge, I look at them sort of quizzically and I say, did you make a judgment just now to say do not judge? And I wait for their answer, because I think in the countless times that I've used that as a retort, I don't think I've ever had anybody wisely give me a cogent response, because they're not used to that. They're not thinking. They're parroting things like a bird of what they've heard. So that's the first thing you can use is, did you make a judgment to see don't judge? Now, getting back to I think it's in Romans, one of the later chapters or so, it says, do not judge your brother. What that means, as well as what Jesus said, and do not judge, is how we judge, what we judge, and to be careful and discerning. Where it says do not judge your brother, in that particular case, they're talking about the foods they eat. It's contextually important. The context is supremely important, because you'll see when Jesus taught that too, do not judge in Matthew 5, 6, and 7. What he meant was do not judge hastily. Do not judge with overt condemnation. Do not judge self-righteously in the method that you judge. Not that you judge. Everything is a judgment. Not to judge is a judgment, not to judge. So it's very clear. Most people, they're not critical thinkers at all. As a matter of fact, they're very shallow, very shallow. So the first thing is ask them if they made a judgment. Secondly is then what I do is if they're a believer, a lot of believers say this, or at least what I call church people. I don't really know if they know Christ. Is Jesus said to judge the righteous judgment in John 7. What does that mean to you when he says judge the righteous judgment? Excuse me. So you let the scripture speak to them and wait for their response. That's the second thing. So hopefully this is helpful. And then thirdly, you can ask them, what did Jesus say in Matthew when he said, do not judge? But then he goes on and tells you a few verses later, do not cast your pearls before pigs and swine, because they'll come after you. Don't you need to judge who the pigs and swines might be? Because he's referencing people in the assemblies, in the gatherings. So the answer is yes, you need to judge to see who those people might be. And there are a lot of those sorts of people in our midst. Church people that judge with the wrong motive, they judge foolishly, and then there's some people that don't judge at all. They have zero discernment. Everything that goes in just comes right out. Sort of like a water through a bucket that has no bottom to it, just floats right through. So, when it says, do not judge, you know how to handle that now. And if you have more questions on this, feel free to look at the rest of our series of giving an account, defending the faith with gentleness and reverence, as Peter said in the first book that bears his name, 1 Peter 3:15. This is Mark White from Walkworthy Ministries with another episode of Giving an Account. Remember, saints, we're one day closer to home and to Him. Walk in a manner worthy of the Lord and be holy in all of your behavior. Goodbye for now.